Can you make a video and tag me about why 1% laws matter newer to PC gaming? What do you mean tag me? You think I'm working for you here? What the I'm just kidding, I got you. 1% laws means average FPS of the worst 1% of frames based on frame times. Now this definition probably means fuck all to you, so here is a translation. The closer your 1% laws are to your average FPS, the smoother your gameplay experience is. So you might hear people talk about 1% laws or even 0.1% laws and make it sound like average FPS. Doesn't matter because the chads only care about 1% laws. The lion does not concern himself with average FPS. No, actually average FPS is a big part of the equation, as I just said. So here's Resident Evil 4 on my 9800X3D and 5090 with DDR5 6000 CL30. This was a short test just for the sake of example. Of course, the longer the test, the more accurate your data is. From the MSI Afterburner benchmark results, my average FPS is 179 FPS. My 1% laws were 151. This is a 15% difference. This means that my overall experience in this game was pretty smooth because 50% is not a lot. If we look at my average FPS graph, I never had any massive dip. And if we look at the frame time graph, it's pretty good. It's got some fluctuations because my FPS is unlocked. Frame time is how long a frame was on the screen. So let's say in this frame time graph, what if I had like a spike here, for example? This would mean that this one frame stayed on the screen way too long and I would see a stutter. So when you see 1% laws in CPU reviews, for example, if one CPU has a much higher average FPS, but the gap between the average FPS and the 1% loss is pretty big, another CPU with a closer gap is technically a better experience, although it depends on how big, of course. So how do you improve your 1% loss? Close all the necessary bullshit that may cause CPU spikes, and a lot of it is about RAM. I know it's very insensitive of me to bring this shit up now, we're floofed, but basically RAM with lower latency is better for the 1% loss. Not necessarily the fastest RAM with like the highest speed in megatransfers per second. So basically a DDR5 CL28 kit might be better than a DDR5 6000 CL30 kit, assuming the rest of the timings are also better. This is a bit complicated. A very important thing when measuring 1% laws is you have to do it in an area that is just gameplay. Ignore pauses, going to the menu, cutscenes, loading screen. All of that has to be left out. You have to ignore everything that might mess with the FPS and is not relevant to the gameplay experience. And when you're doing comparisons, maybe you're trying to tune your PC or something, you have to always do it in the exact same gameplay sequence. Things like explosions and stuff all have to be the same. Otherwise, you're not comparing apples to apples. So how do you measure your 1% loss? That will be in another video because you have to scroll down. I have shit to do, but I can tell you it's in the MSI Afterburner benchmark function. You also need to have Riva Tuner installed. Okay? Yeah.